Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Elizabeth Kautz. I'm the mayor of the city of Burnsville and president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. I'd like to first ask our host, Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake, to welcome us.
All right.
She has worked hard to make this annual meeting a reality, and we thank her and her staff for all of their work to help plan a very successful event for us. Mayor Rawlings Blake.
Thank you.
You're okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to thank Mayor Kautz for the introduction. Thank you for being supportive as we planned this conference. I also want to thank Mayor Villagrosa and Mayor Nutter for being here and for your leadership. On behalf of the people of Baltimore, it is my honor to welcome the U.S. Conference of Mayors annual meeting to my hometown of Baltimore. Our theme for the conference is Oh Say, Can You See Baltimore? Over the next 4 days, I look forward to sharing the rich history and unique culture of this great American city to my fellow mayors. It is an opportunity to showcase Baltimore's renaissance. The U.S. Conference of Mayors is a great organization. Since becoming mayor, I've benefited from the experience of the leaders from across the nation. They have been very kind to me as we work together to solve America's problems. Together this weekend, we can learn about best practices, strengthening our federal relations, and advocating for the things that are important to all of our American cities. Additionally, I am excited to highlight some of what Baltimore is doing to make our government more effective and more efficient, and to provide the best quality of service as we can to our citizens. On Monday, we will lead workshops to talk about the great things we are doing in the areas of education reform and food policy. It's an honor to be the host city for this conference. I want everyone to have a productive conference, a tremendous day in the city of Baltimore, and this is your first but not last open invitation to return. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mayor Rawlings Blake. Since the day I gave my inaugural address to the U.S. Conference of Mayors and becoming president, I have stressed one overriding priority: jobs, jobs, jobs for the good of our metro economies. And as we gather here in Baltimore for the next several days, most of our conversation will center on the same priority: the state of the economy in the U.S. cities and the need for job retention and creation. As we all know, the foreclosure crisis in our country continues. As this trend grows and local property taxes decrease as a result, cities are losing revenues and are forced to make drastic budget cuts. On top of this, Congress is making unprecedented cuts in domestic programs that serve cities directly, like community development block grants, COPS, Homeland Security, and transportation infrastructure programs. That is why we will be debating this week a resolution that calls on the administration to speed up the ending of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, and for Congress to redirect military spending on these two wars to programs here at home that promote job retention and creation. We want our troops to come home. We support our troops, and we believe that it's time for them to come back and join their families. We are also discussing resolutions that support the arts, tourism, and local cultural economies, which produce jobs that cannot be shipped overseas. Cities and metropolitan areas are the drivers of our nation's economy. They are also where 84% of the people in this country live. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, one of the hardest hit job sectors is local government. We have lost a total of 446,000 public sector jobs from municipalities over the last 3 years. In fact, while the private sector is starting to recover from the recession, local governments continue to decline, losing 28,000 employees just last month. As Congress and the administration address the deficit, which they must, we cannot let Washington just pass the buck to mayors and balance the federal budget on the backs of the local property taxpayers. We mayors have made tough decisions and have worked with the private sector to keep the economy moving. Washington needs to invest in cities as their partners. Thank you. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce to you the Vice President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Los Angeles Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa.
First of all, I want to thank Stephanie Rawlings-Blake for welcoming us to this great American city, a city that has a storied history. Those of you who remember the works of Edgar Allan Poe know that he lived in this city. We know that this is a city that gave us the Star-Spangled Banner and is a great American city. So thank you for hosting us. And of course to our president, Mayor Couts, thank you for your leadership over the last year and for putting together a conference that is going to begin to talk about some of the most significant issues facing the nation. But I want to take the opportunity to welcome a new member to the conference. I've had an opportunity to know him, as have many of you, in his role as the Chief of Staff to President Obama. But I could tell you that the people of Chicago are very lucky to have Rahm Emanuel as their new mayor. It's good to see you, the mayor of Chicago, everybody. And obviously, with a key to the front door and the back door to the White House, yeah, you don't have to give it up. Just let the rest of us in. That's all, my friend. Thank you. And let me just say that I want to welcome all of our mayors who are here today, whether we come from the cities of New York, Chicago, LA, who together, the metro economies of those three cities are larger than the 36 smallest states when you look at their economy. When you look at the fact that all of us, no matter whether we come from a large city, a middle-sized city, or a smaller city, all of us represent the 89% of the economic output of the nation. So as the cities go, so go the nation. So when the mayors come together as we are here, just a stone's throw away from the Beltway, we hope that they're listening to the fact that that teetering on the brink of default is the wrong way to go, that it's time to invest in America's workers, in America's metro economies. That's where you'll get the best bang for the buck. At a time when they're talking about eviscerating the safety net, cutting Medicaid, eliminating workforce training, the mayors of these cities are saying this is the time to be investing in retooling our economy and making sure that our workers have the skills for the new jobs in the new economy. This is the time for us to be investing in education so that our students and our workers of the future can compete with others around the world. This is the time for America to invest in transportation and infrastructure. And as you know, we have passed now, I believe, 125 mayors, and the newest one was Mayor Emanuel, have signed on to America Fast Forward, an innovative effort to leverage what cities and counties are doing across the country to invest in transportation, to leverage federal dollars in a smart way. And so it's great to be here in Baltimore. I have the honor of introducing our second vice president. I joked with him today, there aren't a lot of people in the middle of a recession that can get a 76% vote for re-election, but I think it accrues to the talent, the tenacity, and the strong leadership of the second Vice President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Mayor Michael Nutter of Philadelphia.
Mayor Villaraigosa, thank you very much. I really wasn't keeping that close a track, but
You don't have to when you're 76%.
When you're done, I'll come back.
President Couts, thank you very much, and of course our host, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake. I'm in the shadows of course, this great ballpark across the street. I'm in the cleanup spot, and I'm going to make it pretty brief. To all of our mayors, this will be a great conference. One, we know that Mayor Rawlings-Blake has spent a lot of time planning this conference, and I know Baltimore a little bit, and I know they're going to roll out the red carpets for us. This is an important time. Let me kind of be pretty straightforward about it. 2011 ends up really being about 2012. And in the aftermath of the worst recession since the Great Depression, what we're now experiencing, many of us, is the great retreat by the federal government and our Congress, taking dollars away from the cities of America. And for us, it really doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. There is no Democrat or Republican way of filling a pothole, building affordable housing, looking after seniors, or taking care of children. We take care of people on the ground each and every day, and we do our jobs because in our cities, at least, we have to get things done. That's what we do each and every day. And so we've tightened our belts. Unfortunately, we've had to lay people off, cut back services, and balance budgets, and we have to have a balanced budget each and every year in our cities. We can't run deficits, and we don't print the money. But we know how to get things done. And we need a new partnership and a better relationship with the federal government. If members of Congress don't understand the programs that they fund, the programs that they support, then we'll have to step up and do a better job at explaining to them how we put people to work using the federal resources that we get. And so this is not the time for cutting back. This is the time for investing. If we're going to get out of this aftermath of the recession, then we need to invest in America, and that means investing in cities and investing in Americans. And so those are the kinds of things that we'll be talking about at this conference, and I'm most excited and look forward to a great conference here in Baltimore. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Nutter. And now, so that you know who's standing here, I'm going to ask each of the mayors to introduce themselves, and then we'll open it up for questions. So I'll start on this end.
Mayor Pulaski, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Paul Stockland, Madison, Wisconsin.
Welcome
Mark
back.
Fowler, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Mayor Ashley Swearingen, Fresno, California.
Ron Emanuel, Chicago. Pete Lewis, Auburn, Washington.
Arlene Mulder, Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Jim Brainerd, Carmel, Indiana. Bill Wild, Mayor, City of Westlake, Michigan. Ashton Hayward, Pensacola, Florida. Bill Bell, Durham, North Carolina. Pedro Sayada, Hartford, Connecticut. Joe Adami, Corpus Christi, Texas. Ron Littlefield, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Jack Hoffman, Lake Oswego, Oregon. Raul Salinas, Laredo, Texas. Mayor Polito, Santa Ana, California.
Mike Coleman, Mayor of Columbus, Ohio.
Brenda Lawrence, the mayor of Southfield, Michigan.
Wayne Smith, mayor of Irvington, New Jersey.
Roy Buell, the mayor of Dubuque, Iowa.
Mayor Waller, Piscataway, New Jersey.
Frank Cordes, mayor of the city of Pembroke Pines, Florida. Richard Montgomery, mayor of Manhattan Beach, California. John Dickert, mayor of Racine, Wisconsin. Seti Warren, mayor of Newton, Massachusetts. Daniel Brown, mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee. Robert Bermudez, mayor of the city of Doral, Florida. John Monaco, mayor of Mesquite, Texas. Scott Smith, mayor of Mesa, Arizona.
Bill Finch, mayor of Bridgeport, Connecticut. And Mark Stodler, mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas.
And our executive director and chief executive officer, Mr. Tom Cochran.
Tommy.
And now we open it up for your questions. Okay.
On ending the war, speeding up the pullback of the troops, some might argue that it's an investment in our safety here at home by attacking terrorism overseas. Can anyone respond to this? How do you respond to that?
Well, for us, we need to take care of safety here at home. That's our first priority as mayors. And along with that, it is about our economy, and it is about getting people back to work, and it is about reinvesting in those efforts that will help us retain jobs and create jobs in our country. And it is time for our men and women to come back and be with their families.
In addition to that, let's be clear. How did we get to a deficit and a debt larger than at any time, not only in U.S. history, but in human history? We got involved in 2 wars that no matter what you think about those wars, we haven't paid for. We've given tax cuts that we haven't paid for. And the time is now to ask the question. As the Congress debates what we're going to cut, the idea that we would just cut the safety net, that we would cut money for workforce training, money for education, money for transportation, money for investments in infrastructure, that we would build bridges in Baghdad and Kandahar and not Baltimore and Kansas City, absolutely boggles the mind. This is an issue that people are talking about all across the nation, and it's an issue that mayors are going to be front and center on. The economy and jobs is our #1 issue, and we need a Congress that's going to invest in our metro economies and put people back to work. Sorry.
Please.
You're referring to the Great Retreat, as the mayor of Philadelphia said. Would you support the bill to restore the Glass-Steagall Act in Congress, House number 1489, introduced by Marcy Camp?
I don't know that.
Which says that we're not going to bail out Wall Street. We're going to restore the old banking laws that protect legitimate banking, as Franklin Roosevelt did, and then put the money into infrastructure, science, technology, and recovery. This bill is before Congress. There are 16 co-sponsors. And I think the mayors could play a role in getting the Congress to actually pass this immediately.
Thank you for informing us about the bill. We are not informed about it, so we can't comment on it. At least I can't. Anybody else can comment? Great Mayor of the City of Chicago, can you comment on that bill?
He's okay. He's okay.
He's good. He's good.
He's good. He's good. He's good. Yeah, we're not familiar with it, and to comment on a bill that we don't know what it says is not appropriate.
Some states have been seeing their property tax collections improve in the last few months. They're beating expectations. I get the sense that that's not happening so much at the city level, in part because property taxes are beginning to reflect the inversity of the housing bubble. Can anybody talk a little bit about what fiscal 2012 is going to look like for cities, how taxes are coming? Is it getting worse or better?
Well, it's different throughout the country. So to make a general statement how it's going, it's not going to reflect truly on how it is across the country, because from my city to Los Angeles or to Philadelphia, it's different. If you want to... Well, you know, for us, in my city of Burnsville, we have been looking at this since 2008, 09, so we have planned appropriately to understand. So if you have good financial and fiscal responsible plans in place, financial plans in place, and when you look out 5 years and you look at the trends, you sort of make adjustments to meet those. So yes, we did plan for some of those reductions, and at the same time, we also made cuts in personnel and in services to help with that. So I don't know, Mayor? Yes. And then.
In Philadelphia, we've actually stabilized our budget. It took 2 years of cutting services, cutting programs, reducing the size of the workforce, but our budget is actually stable. The real estate market is starting to come back, showing strength. The amount of time that properties are staying on the market has shortened, and we're starting to see an uptick in prices. Fortunately for us in Philadelphia, we were not pretty much on the housing bubble to a great extent, although like other big cities, we did see significant impact on mortgage foreclosure. Fortunately for us, we also created a program to deal with that, and we've saved thousands of people's homes. And so the real estate market is starting to show some strength in Philadelphia, and if you're thinking about investing, you might want to look at Philly.
You know, in LA, revenues are up. We've had to cut about $1.5 billion out of a general fund budget of about $4.7 billion, about 4,600 jobs. So while revenue is up, we've lost in the metropolitan area about 500,000 jobs. And the difference between cities is that and states and the federal government is that the federal government gets to print money when they run out of money. The states balance their budget on the backs of cities, counties, and school districts. We actually have to make the tough decisions. So for the last 3 years in LA, we've had to make cuts that are draconian and that are historic. But notwithstanding that, we're back on a sound financial footing. Next year won't be as tough as the last 3 years. But we're still looking in the Metro Economies report, and I can't speak to it today because we're not going to share it till Monday. But in the Metro Economies report, there are some cities that are not going to be at their unemployment rate that they were before the recession started for another 20 years. So the impact of this recession has been great.
My name is Mike Coleman, Mayor of Columbus, Ohio. We're an income tax city, which means our budget is directly tied to the growth in the economy, in the local economy. The truth is that our revenues are increasing and the economy is turning around gradually, and that's the good thing. But here's the bad thing. State governments continue to pass the buck when it comes to making budget cuts. And rather than making budget cuts at their level, they pass the buck to cities to make those cuts. The second source of revenue in the state of Ohio is what's called the local government fund, which is a state funded. And even though our revenues continue to go up because of the economy, the state revenue continues to go down, and we end up in a struggling situation. That, combined with congressional cuts, puts local communities once again making decisions that others will not.
Thank you very much for being here, but I also want to recognize that we have the mayor of Istanbul with us. His name is Kadir Topaz, and so I know that he was pointed out that he did not introduce himself, but he's here with us. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. We need to move on to the next event.
How you doing, man?